Hi, I'm Linda, and this is No Frills ASMR. So today I thought we could talk about chronology. I couldn't think of what else to call it. I think that's the right word for what we're going to talk about. What got me thinking about it was I noticed sometimes people get a little confused if you say, like, the 18th century. What years does that encompass? So I thought we could just talk about that today and a little bit about how this, I don't know, just everything about dates and stuff. I'll just try to go kind of slow and take our time with this because I could probably sum it up in no time at all. But I'll give you the gist of it first, and then we can go into all the details. How about that? So basically, well, first of all, let me get this other board. Hold on. Let's write it down. Oops. I'll make too much noise. Let's write this down on here because by the end of this video, we will have this answer. 18th century equals. Okay. We'll take all this off. So, let's see. Where do I begin? Let's draw a line. I'm not good at drawing lines. So we'll get this. So, a lot of you know there's some dates that are BC, which stands for before Christ, and some dates that are AD, which stands for, I don't know if I'll pronounce this right, but Anno Domini, which means in the year of our Lord. And because this is based very much in Christianity, it's becoming more common to call it CE, which means Common Era, for AD, and BCE, which is before the Common Era, for before Christ. So these are interchangeable. AD and CE are interchangeable, and BC and BCE. Now, I know that there is some debate about the actual date. The Pope, I think he was like either the last Pope or two popes ago, he wrote a book and said that the timeline for the birth of Christ was off by a few years. And I don't know. I remember my brother telling me that these dates were different, but we're just going to assume that our date that's in the center here. Wait till you guys see this. Look what I pulled out from my little manger. It's our little baby Jesus. He's dusty up. Okay, so here he is born. So anything on this side of his birth is a... Oh, that's a bad A. Hold on. Is a D. Now, when I was a kid, I don't know who told me this, but I always thought it was after death. But that's not right. I don't know where I heard that. It is Anno Domini, in the year of our Lord. Or you could also call it CE, for Common Era. And then anything that goes this way will be BC. So before Christ's birth. Or BCE, before the Common Era. I didn't put an arrow. There we go. Okay. So this is the center point. And then when you start going out from there, and this is modern day. This is us today watching this video. So as you go out, you go up. So the first year was the year 1, and then it goes all the way up to the year 2024 up here. And going this way, the year 1 is here, and then it goes further out away from us. So past, goes more towards the past to whatever, 2024 BC, right? So this is sort of the starting point of the calendar. Okay, does that make sense to you guys? I think so. So the reason that that's the starting point of the calendar was a monk, and his name was, and I won't be able to say this because I don't know, Dionysius Exiguus. And he was a monk who, because he was trying to plan the Easter celebrations, I believe, he sort of backdated. He was during the year 535. So he kind of backdated the birth of Christ and gave it a time. And he's the one who said anything, after that is AD, and anything before that is BC. So that happened in the year, I think it was 535 AD, that he made that that rule. And during the reign of Pope Gregory, okay guys, have you watched my Roman numeral video? If not, go look for it. So this is 10, and each one of these is 1. So this would be Pope Gregory the 13th. During his reign, I don't know, what do you call it? Rule? What's a pope? Reign, I guess. He put together what's known as the Gregorian calendar. And this is the calendar that most of the world uses to this day. And it's based on 365 days of the year with leap year. It was all pretty scientific to get the right amount of time for a calendar. And he kept that the first year was the year of Jesus's birth, according to Dionysius Exiguus. I don't know. Okay, so we're going by the Gregorian calendar. Okay, and I believe this was in the 17 something. I should have written that down, but yeah, I don't have it written down. So this was quite a bit after this guy. This was a ways in between these two. Okay, so we're dealing with the Gregorian calendar, and we know BC and AD. All right. So let's go back to this, and I need another straight line, I think. Let's make a couple. Okay. All right, so assuming this is where our little Christ birth is, the first year out is year 1 AD. And the first year this way is year 1 BC. So 1 AD, and this is 1 BC. Now you go up to year let's put it here, okay? This is year 100 BC. I don't know how to do this neatly. And this is year 200 BC. And this is year 300 BC. Okay. So, whoa. Oh my gosh, I almost tipped my desk. So, the first century, right? First century, that's sloppy, would be year 1 to 100. So right in here is the first century, which means that the year, like year 52 AD, is within the first century. So the second century is year 101 to 200. The third century is year 201 to 300. Does that make sense? So that's where the confusion lies, I think, often. Maybe I didn't need all these lines. I've made this too sloppy. All right, hold on. Why do I have a feeling this is going to be like family trees where I understand it, but I can't phrase it correctly? I don't know. All right, so let's look at like, okay, first of all, there's a thing called millennia. And the first millennia, how do I spell millennia? Millennium. Okay, the first millennium would go year 1 to year 1000. The second millennium, can we just do that? Would go year 1001 to 2000. And then, guess who's in the third millennium? We are. So we go from the year 2001 until the year 3000. So we were in the second millennia until we hit Y2K, and we switched over to 2000. Then we entered the third millennium. Okay, so that's the first thing. We are currently in the third millennium. So once you kind of get that the years will be off, right? So if you're in the 1600, 1601 until the year 1700, this century will be the 17th century. And then from 1701 until 1800, now this is the 18th century. So whatever this century ends with, then you take off those zeros and you know what century it is. So the 18th century runs from 1701 to 1800. So when people say like, oh, it's an 18th century building, that means the building was built during the 1700s, unless it happened to be built during that year. But so like right now, let's see. So, okay. So we have, I'm trying to think if I can explain this differently. And I think I made it clear, but see, so these BC years, they go in reverse of that. So you'll have your first century. Oh, sorry, it's not in your the first century, and then the second century, the third century. And this goes first century. So they go in opposite. I made that clear, right? That wasn't confusing, I don't think. Okay, so the 19th century, we'll just write this out, would be 1801 to 1900. So you take away those zeros and you have that 19. 20th century fox. That's an Adam Ant song. Okay, would be 1901 until it seems like a long time, but yeah, okay. 2000. And then 21st century, 2001 until 2100. Because see, if you take that, it's 21st. Take that, it's 20th. So anytime you just go to the end of that century. A century, by the way, did I forget? Okay, a century equals 100 years. I should have started with that. A century is 100 years. Okay, but so if you take away those zeros, that'll tell you the 21st. I hope I'm making sense. So right now we are in 2024. So we are in the 21st century. Does that feel clear? So basically, whatever century people say, you want to go back one, to know the dates. And I think, I deal with a lot of vintage things, or antique things. And people sometimes will say, oh, that's from the 18th century. And that can be confusing to people. So the 18th century will be the 1700s generally. The 19th century, the 1800s. So because you started at 1 and had to work your way up to 100, and that was the first century, that's why they're all off. So 1 through 99 were part of the first century. I think I explained that so it makes sense. It's hard when there's not somebody here looking at you and going, oh yeah, I get that, or I don't know what you're talking about. I think that's clear. Anyway, okay, so let's pull out this book here and see what they say, if they say anything at all about this subject. This book, by the way, if you watch a lot of my videos, I pull this out a lot, but it's called The Dictionary of Cultural Literacy, What Every American Needs to Know. But this book was published in 1993, so some things are dated, but I don't think it would matter with this particular thing. AB. Let's look up BC first. No, BC. I'll let that be before that. Okay. BC, page 145. Okay. You think I can flip right to it? Nope. I wonder what section, because this is literature in English. Literature Churning. Oh, conventions of written English. Okay, that is what it's under. BC, an abbreviation used with dates of events that took place before the birth of Jesus. BC stands for before Christ. Oh, they have BCE. An abbreviation sometimes used in place of BC. It means before the Common Era. Oh, here they have AD. Okay. AD, an abbreviation used with a date indicating how many years have passed since the birth of Jesus. The abbreviation may appear before the date, as in AD 1988, or it may appear after the date, 1988 AD. It stands for Anno Domini. I'm going to get this right. Hold on. Anno Domini. A Latin phrase meaning in the year of our Lord. Okay. That's funny because they have BCE, but they don't have they don't have, oh, maybe they do. It's under C. Okay, hold on. C. Nope. Huh. They have BCE, but they don't have CE. Must not have come up with it yet or something. Or I'm just not seeing it. Anyway, all right, what else? Let's see if they have the Gregorian calendar, maybe. A, B, C, D, F, G. Greg. Hold on, we're getting close. Great. Gregorian chant. Huh. They don't have it, I'm surprised. Oh, well, anyway. All right. Is there anything else we can think of? I can't think anything. Where's my pen? Here it is. So as far as I can tell, there isn't really, like I noticed online, some people starting it at year 0. I'm not really sure. Let me think about this. So here's Jesus' birth. This is year 1. So this time would be the year 1. And this time would be, BC 1. And this would be AD 1. So there's not really a year. I never really thought about it. I don't know what, because this would be the time of year. They wouldn't overlap. So what would this year be? I'm not sure. Anyway. All right. Well, I can't think of anything else. So I hope that was pretty clear. And that helped. If anyone felt like they never quite understood it. Yeah, I can't believe I forgot to say a century is 100 years. And a millennium, although I'm sure you figured it out from what I said earlier, but a millennium equals 1,000 years. Yeah. Right. So if somebody says the 20th century, they mean 1901 through 2000. And anytime you're unsure, you can take the last 2 zeros off, and that will show you the century. But basically, you're always going to be, the 19th century will be mostly the 1800s, the 18th century, the 1700s, plus the year 1800. So it's kind of just always back because of the very first century was the years 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. That was all part of the first century. So hopefully that makes it a little clearer for you. Thank you to Baby Jesus for playing the part of Baby Jesus. activity. I think my mom gave that to me many, many years ago. All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Talk to you later. I'll just count up these cards. All right. Bye. Dionysius Exegius. I looked this up before I did this, but I just couldn't get it in my head. I don't know. You have to pronounce both the U's. Exegius.